Well, I think there's two major reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So one is that part of what the Green Movement did is it created what Ayn Rand called a package deal between being anti-pollution and anti-impact, or anti-pollution and anti-development. And so they looked around and said, hey, there's some pollution problems, which there certainly were. Every productive activity has side effects. It has side effects that you want to minimize insofar as is economical, but it has real side effects. And what they said is that what that means is that if you don't want these side effects, if you want to minimize them, then you need to minimize our impact, not our negative impacts. You need to minimize our impact. And so it combined anti-pollution and anti-development. And what I say is that, no, you need to be anti-pollution, but pro-development. You need to have as much positive impacts as you can and then minimize within them the negative impacts. So you want to have as much energy as possible, but as little air pollution, as little water pollution as possible. But there's a second kind of deeper reason here. So if you look traditionally at how people think about what is good and bad, people will agree that, yeah, energy is important, it makes us richer and so on, but why does that not have moral force? And yet a person saying don't impact the planet has moral force. And it is because as many disagreements as there are about morality, the one thing everybody agrees on is that if it's pro yourself, that if you're doing something that's good for you, that can't be moral. Maybe it's amoral, maybe it's immoral, but that anything that is self-interested, selfish, greedy, as they'll put it, that is off the table as far as morality goes. And so people feel guilt whenever doing anything that is for themselves. And now you have a thing that says, well, look, traditionally you thought of like for yourself as not for some other human being. Like, oh, I'm getting money in my pocket versus my neighbor's. Well, look, there's many other things on this earth besides human beings. If we're benefiting and some animal species is suffering, or some rock is getting moved, or we're displacing the earth, or the rivers aren't flowing in the way that they naturally would, you're being selfish. You're putting your species above nature. And that resonates with people because that's what we've always been taught. Like, if you're doing it for yourself or for the species that you're invested in because you're a member of it, that is off the table morally. And so there's never been there is a prejudice against anything that has any whiff of self-interest. And therefore, any view that says, hey, we're not self-interested, this is bad for not just us, but our entire species. Well, they hold the moral high ground in the way that we're taught to think about things. And so you have this combination where there's people who genuinely don't like pollution and think that they have to buy into this whole package of being anti-development. And then if they want to be pro-development because they recognize, well, I mean, it gives me a job, it keeps my electricity bills low, then they feel guilty because that's not what's moral. And the people who are crusaders, they might think, yeah, well, they're crazy idealists, but they still have the moral high ground because they're not being self-interested. And so you have this dual weapon that completely incapacitates our ability to have an alternative. And that's what CIP, the Center for Industrial Progress, is committed is. We want a human flourishing ideal that is anti-pollution.